was watching it last night. I was like, this is a fucking coked up movie. Like Scorsese, I think was in the midst of cocaine addiction during this moment. It was before he got clean in the late 80s or early 90s. So After Hours is made, with a certain kind of dark, relentless energy.
It is dark, relentless is exactly how I would describe it. And every time I've watched it, and just watching it a few nights ago recently, right, is that I am kind of like in love with everything I'm seeing, but also really can't fucking wait for it to be over because I'm even though I know all the twists and turns at this point, it didn't matter because I'm still literally feeling all of it and just feeling that frustration of being locked in a dream that I can't get out of, or some experience that just won't fucking let go.
Yeah, you're like swimming upstream.
Yeah,
I could see that experience just narratively being frustrating for people.
Yeah,
because we started this. This is a quote unquote underrated Scorsese. And I think it's in part because not a lot of people saw this movie. It was a small
movie.
film that came out in 1985, and for whatever reason, it wasn't a big hit. And yet, I remember my friend John in college. I've mentioned him on the memoir biography episodes, our live streams. My friend John, who was one of the first friends I had that we were in classes together at UCSB in the film studies department, and he was the first guy I knew that was just absolutely literally insane for movies, and he just we'd talk relentlessly about Scorsese and things like that. And he made all these top 10 lists and everything like that, but he was always a champion of After Hours. I just remember John always talking and saying, After Hours is not only the greatest Scorsese movie, but After Hours might be the greatest film ever made. And that always impressed me, not because I believed him, but because I thought, well, what is he seeing in this movie?
Right.
Because I sort of, can get there in watching this movie and be like, yeah, this might be the greatest movie ever made.
This is a superb short story.
Right.
This is perfectly really roundly drawn characters who say and do constantly unexpected things within the realm of the kind of batshit world that he creates.
Yep.
and it's all these moving parts that continue to come back and fold over each other and tumble over each other and connect back to each other. And I mean, literally it ends where it starts in this insane sequence of he's kind of, he's literally encased in paper mache.
His body becomes art at the end.
His body becomes art,
By the end,
yes.
I guess he's completely absorbed into the Soho world to the point where he is encased inside a sculpture.
Right, and specifically paper mache. So I want to come back to that for a second, because that's what it starts with the paper mache bagel and cream cheese paperweights, right? That the paper mache is this is I can't help but think this is like Scorsese poking again a little bit and making fun, because paper mache, not to take away from people who work in it, but it's also the kind of thing that you teach kids in school, right? And paper mache was my favorite as a little kid because it meant I got my hands in the glue and the wet and the paint and the newspaper.
It's kind of goofy.
And it was gross.
Yeah.
And it is
and
goofy.
The art world he shows is goofy.
Yes.
And we'll get to Life Lessons in a second, but contrast it with that, because in Life Lessons it's like he's showing a dead serious world, which is not like the world they're showing here.
Right, but the people here in a lot of ways I think are thinking of themselves as very seriously, but we, with Griffin Dunn's character, we're not seeing it quite the same way those who are performing it see it, right?